Hi, Be the Church family. It's Peeper McDonald here, a very sweaty Peeper McDonald. I just got done with one of my morning walks, and as I was walking, I do feel like God shared with me something that was meant to share with you all. So what can you do when God gives you something to share? All I can do, I should say, is share it. So obey and share. So I hope this helps you. But let me paint a picture for you a little bit that sets the scene, because the scene is really important for what I feel like God shared with me today. So those who live in the McDonough area where we live in Georgia, number one, you should know it's August and it's hot. And it's also early. So I walk when it's early, so it's not so hot, but it's still really hot. So I tend to do walks at Bud Kelly Park. If you're not familiar with that park, it's basically a figure 8 with a smaller figure 8 within it. And then a couple little offshoots within that still turn into a circle. So there's a lot of circles in there. So I've been coming here, Ben and I have been coming here for years now. And I recently started coming here to just help with our pregnancy and being fit. And so I come here a lot by myself. I actually like being here, but I also walk with others sometimes. But I should say, for the most part, for the years that we've been coming here, myself and Ben always tend to go the same way. I think it might be hard to explain which way, but we basically do make the figure 8 into a circle. So we bear right and just keep going all the way around so it's not really figure 8 for us. It's just a circle. There are points where we could cross, but we don't. We just keep bearing to the right, and it's kind of like a circle that goes in at the waist like a belt. A couple weeks ago, maybe I decided to switch it up and do the part that I like the least first, just because of it also being hot. So there's a wooded part, but there's also kind of an open air part. So I decided to switch it up and still do essentially the same route, but do the part I like the least first. So I did that. But I will say, for the most part, I'll say Ben and myself are creatures of the habit. So we go the same way. Today, when I arrived, I started going that same way, the part that I like the least first. And I just noticed I was not feeling it. And I know there are days where we're doing something we're committed to. This could be anything, fill in the blank, we're doing blank, and we're just not feeling it. That's okay. Those are, I think, normal human feelings. But I decided about halfway through that part, the part I like least, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go a different way this time. I'm going to go the opposite way than I usually go. That will give me just a new perspective. That will help me not focus on that I'm just not feeling it today. And let's do that. And so I did it. And as I was doing it, I was like, you know what? God is talking to me, which is really cool. I'm not some ultra spiritual person where every time, I pray, or every time I go out into nature, God audibly speaks to me. A lot of times I'm quiet and just kind of letting my thoughts and my emotions kind of come in and out. I do pray, but sometimes it's just word association. So I just want to be very clear that, again, this is not always a spiritual experience. But today, like I said, God shared with me something. And so as I was walking, I finished the part that I like the least, and then I went into the part that I like the best, which is the wooded area. I just think it's a really beautiful covered tree part that you go into. So you can see I'm still sweating. So this is as real as it gets, folks. But God reminded me about how the path essentially is metaphor. I should also preface it, I love metaphor. I think metaphors help us to understand ourselves and other people better. I'm a licensed professional counselor by trade, and I use a lot of metaphor. I think my mixed race background, especially with the Indigenous Native American culture, uses metaphor a lot. And actually, the Bible uses metaphor a lot to help us understand, so metaphor, parables, stories, to help us understand each other, ourselves, our relationship to God better. And so that's what I was given today, that this path essentially is a metaphor, and that the metaphor is on perspective taking. That, hey, what is it about me as just a human being, and maybe others, that I often go the exact same route in a walking route? Why do I do that? And why is it kind of a funny thing when I switch it up? I remember Ben and I, my car turned on, so I'm going to have to turn it back on for a second. There we go. Because I'm not going to be able to do this video without air conditioning. But what is it about us that we stick so stringently to our habits? And when I say habit, I want us to think broadly about our thoughts, our emotions, our behaviors. What is it that makes us stick so strongly? And so anyway, again, it was like a novel idea for me to do something different today. And I really enjoyed it. I saw such a different perspective of the trail that I've walked. I don't even know how many times. Maybe hundreds now. I don't know, over the years. But I got to see a different perspective, and that really, again, got me thinking. And I think this was really God about what that means for us in our life. And really, what does that mean about us as Christians? So I'm not even really talking about people who don't know God. I'm talking about us as a community that claims to know Jesus and God, but yet we have, and I'm using we, including me, we have such a hard time when we hear alternative perspectives. And that includes, especially from people in our own community. I look around, and the world, I think, sees us as such a divided group of people. And I gotta think that hurts God's heart, that we really, out of anyone, should be modeling unity, should be modeling love, certainly modeling what we believe in. But the thing is there's so much nuance to, number one, us as people, but also us in how we interpret the Bible. So in my opinion, in my belief system, in my experiences in life, other than Jesus Christ was sent here to die for all of us, and we're all sinners, there's so many things that we could have different perspectives on in the Bible. And the times in my life that have really been enriching is when I've opened myself up to have these conversations with safe, God-loving, and God-fearing people, not trying to change their mind necessarily, not necessarily having my mind be changed, but sometimes, sometimes me coming away from a healthy philosophical and theological conversation of like, that was really made me think about the why behind what I believe. And I just think that's so needed for us to model to the world, that we can actually do that we can enter into conversations with each other and again, have different thoughts, different beliefs about what's happening in the Bible. Again, I think the basic thing we need to focus on, which is Jesus. That's irrevocable. But there's so many things. I mean, think about that. We have examples in the Bible. So think about Peter and James and them coming across the Galatians, and Peter really being pretty hardcore about, hey, these Gentile converts, they need to be circumcised. And that it was a big debate. We see that. And so again, that doesn't mean because one person really believed in the practice of circumcision and then the others had different thoughts about that one was better than the other. I don't believe that. They eventually came to the conclusion with James's help that, hey, we're not going to have these Gentile converts be circumcised. But I think the circumcision was really real, but I also think that's a metaphor that we see, and it's essentially a story in the Bible that reminds us that, hey, the circumcision itself, I feel like I'm saying circumcision a lot, but that's okay. The circumcision itself is not the thing. Jesus is the thing. And so, sure, if someone decides to, again, fall into this tradition, we'll say this tradition, fill in the blank tradition, that doesn't necessarily make them closer or not, or a better believer or not. That's their choice. And so that reminded me about so many things in the Bible. Some of us for religious reasons choose to wear certain types of clothing. Some of us choose to eat differently. Those are practices in the Bible too. Some of us, again, we have traditions that a lot of us keep. So we go to church, the building we call the church, every Sunday. And that's not a problem. But I think what this path reminded me of today is, okay, so if the path is our walk with God, there are many different people on this path. I'm going one way, another person's going another way, but at the end of the day, we're on the path. We've done the thing. So again, the path is we believe in Jesus, but how important is it for us to engage with our fellow humans on this path to learn about their own journey, to learn about, hey, why did you go this way? Again, not in a judgmental way, but help me understand. That's the basic piece of empathy taking, is perspective taking. So I have, thoughts and feelings about this, but you have thoughts and feelings too. Let me try to understand your thoughts and your feelings regarding X, Y, and Z. And so the other thing about perspective taking as I was going along this path, because early in the morning I get to see, for the most part, lots of animals, and I love seeing the animals. I'm a huge animal lover. But it really made me think that about the animals too. Like they're on the path. And we even see God mention in the Bible animals and other organisms. So, we have the scripture about consider the lilies and how they're clothed. And so literally we're asked to consider another perspective. Sparrows are also brought up. So again, we just see lots of organisms that are aside from us in the Bible, and really the words of the Bible asking us to consider the perspective of these other organisms. And so in my mind, as I'm going on this path, a different route that I've been on this path many times, but not ever in this direction, as I'm seeing wildlife, I'm just like, man, that's really cool to think about how, number one, the Bible actually asks us to consider these different perspectives. And that's so true. That again, if we're all going in think about animals. So people, sometimes we get bogged down when we're thinking about people. But think about, again, I come from a mixed race background with some indigenous values. And so that perspective taking is really important. So I think about, okay, so if animals are heading north, for example, the deer has one perspective. The bird in the air has another perspective, and the turtle on the ground has another perspective, but they're all heading north. So is one perspective better or worse than another? No, I think that's our humanness that wants to make something good or bad, better or worse. But it's really this idea that, again, this metaphor of the path. We're on the path. And again, I'm not talking about those who don't know God. I'm talking about, man, how much enriching, like how great would it be for the turtle to talk to the bird, or the bird to talk to the deer, to say like, hey, here's my experience. What's your experience? And then, and so take that to us humans, I think we need to do that. Like, here's my experience. What's your experience? And then how can we support each other in this thing we call life, trying to live out our walk with God? That's what it means to be the church. We're on the path. And so this idea again of, okay, and I'm not trying to change habits. I think, it's a good habit that, for example, I come here 3 times a week to do a walk. I'm not knocking the habit. I'm not knocking the habit of going to the building we call the church once a week, or, twice a week to commune with people. But what I am questioning is our intentionality and our perspective and our ability to engage with others when we do these things that are good for us. When we have these goals, why can't it be a goal of ours to engage with others, and again, a healthy, loving, supportive way to learn more about each other and learn something about ourselves and grow closer to God in the meantime. So that's just my thoughts. It was a little bit longer than I wanted to share, but I had a whole, 2 miles or so to be thinking about it. And again, I hope this helps us. I hope that just encourages us to, again, think about, hey, how can we model these healthy conversations about experience and how someone is interpreting one part of the Bible and how we're interpreting it in the other. And then it's our decision, it's our choice, it's our responsibility to decide what that means for us. But let's not just do the habit. Let's not just get on the path and just walk mindlessly. Let's not go to the building we call the church mindlessly. Let's do it with intention to engage in these multiple perspectives. So I hope that helps you be the church wherever you go today. I know I'm going to be thinking about it a lot more because I'm preaching to myself. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and reach out if you need anything. Again, if you have something to share like this, we don't believe in a hierarchy that it has to come from one person. We believe God speaks to us anytime, anywhere, sweatiness and all. So please reach out to us at bethechurch.info and share your perspective, because that's how we grow. That's how we encourage each other. And that's how we show the world that we can engage with one another in love. And so I just appreciate you listening. Have a great day.